Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Soulful Solutions. My name is Dr. Debbie Green. It's a pleasure having you with me today. Today's topic is very sensitive to my heart, and I just wanted to say something about it because it just seems like it's been pushed up off the map, which means people are reading about it, but nobody's doing anything. I mean, I don't know what we can do because it's actually something that people are going through and actually happening in our world right now. But I just wanted to talk about it so that we could have a clear understanding of what it is and what's happening. We don't find ourselves in this area like, oh my God, what's happening? Is it are we falling apart as a nation, as a people? Well, yes, that's obvious. We are, and it's unfortunate that it is this way. But again, my topic today is maternal filicide. And if you're not familiar with that, then you're going to learn a lot just in this hour or so that I'm here with you. Um, I cannot even imagine how a mother would take her own child's life unless it's in some type of defense to if there's a threat like oh, I can't allow you to suffer. But I mean, there's very little rationale there. Like when you are at dire straits, when you're desperate and you don't know what to do, you think your child is going to be taken advantage of or hurt or some way or some form. I mean, it's just beyond me what a person's mind could actually be going through at that particular moment of where they would literally take their own child's life. And we see this quite often. This is not something that we are not familiar with because we hear about it all the time. But before we get started, if there's any mothers out there that are heavy laden and burdened, if there's any mothers and that within the sound of my voice that you're like, I don't know how I'm going to make it. I don't know if I can go on. My life is chaos. I'm falling apart by the moment. I just want to let you know to take a deep breath. Take a few. Acknowledge your breath and not your issue. Just acknowledge your breath and not your issue. Just for a moment. Just for a moment. Just breathe. Breathe because you're not breathing. You're hurting. You're in pain. Just breathe. That's all. If you don't do nothing else, just breathe. Don't think about anything. Don't worry about the bills. Don't worry about the husband, the children, none of that. Just breathe. When you get to that point when you're just breathing, you're giving yourself what you need right there in your moment. And I know it's the hardest thing for some people to do is to acknowledge the breath. Because again, everything else seems like it's all over the place. It's totally chaotic and you're losing your grip. But once you just allow yourself just acknowledge your breath, that's when everything starts to change. You may be in the lowest parts of your life right now, but if you just take a moment and just listen and not turn away and just allow yourself again to acknowledge the breath because the breath is all you have right now, isn't it? It's all that matters. That's it. Whatever is outside of you that's taking or manipulating or destroying or whatever you say is doing to you, if you just acknowledge the breath, a lot of those things will cease. And when I say they cease, I'm talking about cease inside of you. I'm not talking about outside of you, inside. inside. Because your goal is to gravitate some type of peace to your mind. Just right now. Just for this moment. That's all. Just for this moment. And if you could allow yourself just to be peaceful, take this thing called what is called a power of pause. I'm pausing for my victory. I'm pausing for my peace. I'm pausing for my freedom. My freedom. It's yours. But you got to take the time to do it. You have to take the time for yourself in the midst of the chaos. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I see my co-host in the backdrop there. I'm going to go ahead and log her on. There you go.
Yes.
My sister, how are you? Greetings, Grand Rising
Excellent.
this
Grand
morning.
Rising.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. A pleasure having with you, with me. Oh, hey, this
Yeah.
morning. Absolutely, absolutely. As I was telling our listeners and viewers that this topic is very dear to me. It's very
Mm,
close to my heart
wow.
uh, because of the extenuation circumstances.
Mm.
You
You
know,
know, uh,
um,
I've been reading lately about a lot of cases where women have taken the lives of their children, and sometimes it's attributed to postpartum depression, and sometimes people just can't figure out what happened. Perhaps the relationship that ended, extreme emotional distress. But things don't just happen out of nowhere. What happens is that we don't see the signs when there is emotional distress, and so when it happens, people are shocked because they didn't see signs that something was out of balance, something was not right. And and then, as with any death, and often these are, I think what you termed it, murder side, well, you kill everybody else and then you kill yourself, suicide after you
yes,
killed everybody. uh there's what happens after a person commits suicide that was close to you, feelings of guilt, like maybe I should have said something, maybe I should have done something. You have all these people that are feeling the after effects of a person's decision, and because that person is gone, there's no way to get any answers.
right, right. Um, I just want to say that anytime a murder or suicide, any of that, they leave huge holes in people. They don't answer questions. You may know some of what you think, but there was a recent, and I'm going to refer to one particular case, Naima, that just recently happened. Um, and this particular case, I actually posted on Facebook because, I mean, this is not the first time this has happened. It's just this particular one just really hit me. It was a mother that actually she took a lot of thought into this,
Wow.
um, and she literally she did something. It's still under investigation of how the twins died. She had twins. They were 5 years old. They were paternal. They was a boy and a girl. So the children were found in the home in their beds.
Mm.
No blunt trauma. No trauma was present at all. But they were deceased in their beds. And the mother then left the home, went to a bridge, and she dived off into the lake
Wow. Wow.
and she drowned.
So that's somebody
The
that had
family,
despair and just decided to end it all for herself and everybody else.
yeah, and it's again, there's a lot of patterns like this. I mean, we could, like you said, blame it on different things. We could try to rationalize it. We could do, you know, a lot of pondering, as one would say. I just want to give you some statistics before I go back to that case.
Mm.
And this is when a young child is murdered, the most frequent perpetrator is a victim's parent or step parent.
Wow. Wow.
Rates of infanticide parallel suicide rates rather than murder rates. The risk of being in a homicide victim is the highest during the first year of life.
Wow. Wow.
Though the U.S. has the highest rates of child homicide, 8.0 out of 100,000
Wow.
for infants,
Ooh. Wow.
2.5 out of 100,000 for preschool age children,
Oh my.
1.5 out of 100,000 for school age children.
Ooh.
The problem of child homicide transcends national boundaries. These rates of child murder are probably underestimated due to inaccurate coroner rulings and some bodies never being discovered.
Wow. Wow.
So, maternal filicide is what I'm talking about today. See, nationally, nationally, this has been an epidemic for a very long time. So what
Mm.
I did was I went back from 2020. I didn't go all the way back there because we know even in the biblical days, children were being murdered. Okay, infants within from infants up to toddler ages. So for the sake of understanding, I started from 2020 and did my research there, and that's what I came up with. They based it
Mm.
upon out of 100,000, and those numbers are scary. Where we as a nation rate right there.
You
Uh,
said America has the highest.
U.S. has the highest rates of child homicide. Yes,
Wow. Wow.
we rate 8 out of 100,000.
Wow.
Do you
That says a
see?
lot. That says a lot. I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with, the industrialization of the nation or income, any of those things. All these things that we think matters. And if America is the highest when it comes to infanticide or child killing, we have to look at our mental health state. That means we have the worst state of mental health in a society that's supposed to be so prosperous than anybody else in the world. So what really does create emotional well-being? Obviously, it's not so-called affluenced by these standards where you have a lot of things, because that's America has probably more things than any other nation. But look at the outcome, look at the culture, look at the behavior. That says a lot.
the, these rates were when I started looking at this, Naima. I tears just formed out of my eyes, and I said, "Oh my God, our children don't even have a chance."
Wow, they don't.
And then I went a little further. I went to the area again as my topic today is maternal filicide. Now the thing about this is all homicide in itself.
Mm.
Um, but I want people to get a good understanding of what maternal filicide is. It's defined as a child murder by the mother. Okay.
Wow.
Infanticide is a child murder in the first year of life.
Mhm.
The term neonaticide, excuse me, was coined by Resnick, which is a doctor, to describe murder of an infant within the first 24 hours of life.
Oh, wow. Wow.
This is still being done by the mother. So within the first 24 hours of life, which is once that baby is born, within the first 24 hours, she's taking that child's life at some point. Whether she dumps it in a dumpster, whether she leaves it in a plastic bag, whether she takes it by her own hands, it's happening. The ages of this, because we know women or young girls can have a child as early as 12 years old.
Mm. So, what do the statistics say about the ages of these mothers who take the lives of their children?
They range between the ages of 13 all the way up to 45.
Wow.
Um, Almost all neonatal sides are committed by mothers and are often young, unmarried women with unwanted pregnancies who receive no parental care.
Mm.
No parental care, no prenatal care, because they are hiding the pregnancy.
So they're
Now
basically
that's
body.
the first one. Yes, that's the first one. That's not the ones who already had the children and come up with the plan to take the children's life. This is when this, like I said, a young mother as
Mhm.
early as 13 years old,
Mm.
but has been hiding the pregnancy due to fear of if the parent
Parents
finds
probably
out.
found out. Yeah. Wow. So they killed the child rather than face whatever horrible
Right.
reaction their parents would have in finding out they were pregnant.
Right. So we dive a little more deeper into this, and this is according to, again, a publisher of PubMed Central. And the individual doing this, their last name is Resnick. They said they reviewed the world's psychiatric literature on maternal filicide, found filicide mothers who have frequent depression, psychosis, prior mental health treatment, and suicidal thoughts. Maternal filicide perpetrators have five major motives. Listen to this. In an altruistic filicide, a mother kills her child out of love. She believes death will be in the child's best interest. For
Wow.
example, a suicide mother may not wish to leave her motherless children to face an intolerable world, or a psychiatric mother may believe that she is saving her child from a fate worse than death.
Mm.
In an acutely psychotic filicide, now this is a whole different one, okay? The psychotic of a delirious mother kills her child without any comprehension of motives.
Mm.
For example, a mother may follow a command hallucination
Wow.
to kill. Now, what a command hallucination is that she hears a voice in her head that says, kill your children, right? Kill your child this way, that way. And then she then actually carries this out.
Mm.
I know our topic is not one of those real smooth, and it's
But we
just
got to
that
face it.
the
We have
nation,
to. Yeah.
yeah, we have to. We because this is it's an epidemic, and it's just like no one's saying anything.
Yeah.
No one's doing anything. I actually have talked to patients that were going through some of these things at some point.
Mm.
And, finding out the rationale, which I'm going to go into a little moment here, of what a patient had to say when asked the question, what was you thinking?
Mm.
Okay, I want to finish this up. When fatal maltreatment filicide, it's called fatal maltreatment filicide, occurs, death is usually not the anticipated outcome. It's result from a cumulative child abuse neglect. It's called a Munchausen syndrome by proxy. In an unwanted child filicide, a mother thinks of her child as a hindrance. The most rare spouse revenge filicide occurs when a mother kills her child, especially to emotional harm that is the child's father.
Wow.
So she takes her child's life to hurt the father.
Wow. Oh,
These are all the reasons why this would be happening. Now this is not even dealing with the factors. This is just deal. This is the this. These are the different types of homicide, which is called filicide. That a mother would go through or experience.
now I know that I can hear the thoughts of some of the people listening to this. I know a lot of people have very strong views about abortion, and there's a long battle for it to be legal, and then there's battles for it to not be legal. But are there any statistics that show, I guess, the correlation between if there's an unwanted pregnancy
Hmm.
and a mother is not able to terminate the pregnancy before birth or before the deadline of whatever 3 months, and then the child is born and the pregnancy was unwanted but not able to be terminated? Are there any studies or statistics that show that the mother would still end up ending the child's life after it's born? And what are the studies showing about that?
If according to these studies, if the mother is under any major life stressors, the answer to that question is yes. If she's under any major life stressors, such as, again, if we go back to the youth, if she's young and she's afraid, um, and she says she's going to have the baby, not knowing who to call or who to talk to, but constantly hiding the child. Now,
Mhm.
remember, if she's not telling anyone, then no one's giving her any other options of, well, maybe you need to, have an abortion or something of that nature. But if she's hiding it, she's not her in her mind.
Yeah.
That's what she's doing. She's not thinking of the health of the baby. She's too
Right.
consumed about what's going to happen if someone finds out that she's
Right.
pregnant. So she hides it. She may put on bigger clothes. She may
Mhm.
to conceal the pregnancy.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? So when she
Yeah.
does have the child, because the baby will come, okay, you're going to carry a baby to term, whether the baby you go to prenatal visits or not,
Right. The baby's
the
going to if
baby's
it
still going to
happens.
come to term, right?
Yeah.
Unless you
Right.
have a stillborn or something goes wrong, God forbid, that's inside of you, and you still don't know what to do, which is also something that some individuals also go through.
Wow.
right? But if the baby comes to term, then the baby has to be born, right? So she has to hide this. She may go in a stall in a gas station. She may go wherever, give birth to the baby, not looking at this as a innocent child. Now I'm thinking she's going to go through some kind of emotions. Now, I mean, it's only human to go through
Yes.
something. You're going to feel something, whether it's fear, hurt, pain. You're going to
Yes.
go through something in that moment when you see this baby
Panic,
screaming and
distress.
yelling.
Yeah.
Right. But what they do is, again, they're still in their mind. They're conceiving it. See,
Mm,
when your brain is conceiving something, you get desperate. You get extremely
mm,
desperate. So at that point, all you want to do is escape from it. You don't care how you
mm.
do it.
Just get rid of it.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you may leave the child in a place. You may wrap it up, put it in a bag, or you just want to conceal it. That's all you want.
Mm.
You just want it to go away, and you go on with your life thinking that it's okay, and
It's
it's not.
gone.
So we know children that have been found in garbage cans and in odd places
You
because the
know,
baby was screaming
yeah.
just
And
for its own life.
there are a lot of stories of that. And I don't know if you heard the story of the comedian Tommy Davidson. Uh, tells a story about how he was found in a garbage can. His
Hmm.
mother had given birth and I guess had some mental health challenges or whatever, but the woman who raised him found him in a dumpster, saw a little foot sticking out, and then discovered it was a baby. And you know from there, and she had just had a daughter, but she raised him along with her daughter. It's like they were twins, because they both were infants together and
Right.
everything. Really, I mean,
Yes.
it's a heartbreaking story. And ultimately, he did find his mother later in life, forgave her, and all that sort of thing. I think that was on an issue of Red
Mm.
Talk with Jada Pinkett Smith, and it was heartbreaking because you realize that there's so many women who are giving birth that may have, like you say, they're young, uh, afraid, got mental health issues, panic, no family support, and they give birth and they're trying to figure out, well, how do I get rid of it? So they throw it in the garbage and just say, okay, well, now it's gone. But this is a person. What happens if they get found and have a whole life, and at some point later in
And
life
that
pass?
happens in reality. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think they would call, the Department of Children Welfare or leave it at a hospital or
No.
not often do they do this. They don't.
Because the fear is, I don't want
Again,
my parents to find out
I
I
just
was
don't want
raped.
no one to find
No,
out that
no.
this has happened to me. I'm so consumed about what I feel that I'm not thinking about this life that I just gave birth to. So we dive a little deeper, and you like and when I was reading this, it was just like it just kept more and more and more, and I'm like, okay, because if you don't study, you don't see it. Like we hear it on the news, but it's so much more behind the scenes than that.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
there's a lot of behind the scenes. So I know we got 1 minute before break. I just want to kind of share a little more light on this when it comes to women that have been found mentally ill. And you say one should have a mental illness to destroy a child's life in some type of way, right? Isn't that most
Mm,
people would think, oh, that's horrendous. How could you possibly hurt something so innocent?
mm.
How could I mean what was going through your mind?
It's the fear of what happens if the child remains alive. Like you said, if they're suicidal, they don't want to leave a child behind to suffer or be abused. Or if they're fearing some type of social condemnation, or punitive measures, even by parents if they're a young woman still living at home, 13, 14, 15 years old. Um, it's fear that drives that kind of decision.
Right. The major culprit is fear. And it's even the woman that has had a child and uh, her husband may be abusive and may think that she's cheating, but this baby is his baby, right? And
Hmm.
she would then get rid of that child because of what her husband or the person in her life is thinking. Well, if I get rid of, I can't let them know that I'm pregnant because they're going to think that I'm pregnant from this person and this is going to happen to me and I'm going to have to go through this with this person and trying to, this is the problem. It is the rationalizing. That may not be a word, but it's irrational.
Irrational rationalizing.
Yeah,
That's what it
yeah.
is.
So when
But
we
it may
come back from break,
not in
I
the right
want
way.
that's true. When we come back from break, I want to go through some more statistics when it comes to mental health with women that take their children's lives.
All right. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
We have an opportunity to transform the whole global society in the next 50 years. 50 years from now, the earth will be populated by a new generation of adults, many of whom are yet unborn. Our mission is to nurture them in childhood with love, guidance, and protection, and to raise them in healthy, happy families. If we impart values of compassion, generosity, and respect for fellow human beings in the next generation of children, they will create a world where people can live together in peace. This is our goal. Be a part of the transformation. Get your copy of the book, The Female Solution. Go to www.naimalatif.com. That's www.naimalatif.com. I'm Beata, your holistic life coach. These days, it's more important than ever to work on your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. Are you consciously breathing deeply in stressful moments? Do you have a plan or daily routine to maintain balance in your awesome body? Are you struggling to be disciplined in your eating habits? When you partner with me, I'll help you develop a personalized health plan to fit your lifestyle. You can find out
Oh,
com. Also, you can get my three-step protocol to guide you to abundant health. That's yourholisticlifecoach.com. I'm Beata. Do you worry about finances, family, health, jobs, relationships? Are you in pain? Do you feel stuck? If you answered yes to any of these questions, help is available. Don't worry, you're not alone. It's part of the human process. You only feel this way because you haven't mastered the voices in your head. No hype, just down to earth, solid, workable tools and techniques that you can practice daily. It's really food for the soul. Whether you want to learn how not to worry about anything, reverse type 2 diabetes, publish a book, promote your product or service, or just make extra money. To take advantage of the deal of the day, go to zeldaspeaks.com or call 312-409-6619. Mention promo code The Female Solution and get free shipping. That's zeldaspeaks.com or 312-409-6619. Stop worrying today. Visit zeldaspeaks.com.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. This is Soulful Solutions. My name is Dr. Debbie Green with my wonderful co host, Naima Latif, our executive producer of the Female Solution. And if you're just joining us this morning, our topic is why are women killing their children? Maternal filicide. Right before break, I wanted to actually talk about the relation far as mental health with women, with their children, and a relatively high incidence of filicide thought has been found in mental illness when it comes to women. And
Wow.
this research, again, I got from PubMed Central, and it was stating that there were depressed mothers with children under age 3 found that 41% had thoughts of harming a child,
Mm,
compared with 7% of mothers in the control group. Okay, 41% is high. That, that's a
wow.
high, that's almost half
Yes,
of
that's
it.
very.
It's very high. The pediatric study of mothers in the general population found that 70% of mothers with colicky infants experienced explicit aggressive thoughts towards their infants.
Mm, mm,
I got to pause right there, Naima.
mm.
70%.
Wow. I've known mothers with
These,
colicky babies, and the frustration level gets very high when you just, no matter what you do, you can't get that baby to stop crying. And
right, right. I clearly understand because I have been a mother myself. 70% of mothers with cognitive infants experience aggressive thoughts towards their infants. And over a quarter, which is 26% of them had infanticidal thoughts during colic episodes.
wow. And one thing I think, because I had a friend who, him and his wife lived in Ghana for a while, and because she was Ghanaian, and they had just had their baby, and he talked about what he observed when the baby, because they had such an extended family, you got aunts, uncles, grandmother, all that sort of thing. So when the baby would start crying, someone else would take the baby and just, try to
Right.
comfort the and give the mother, some kind of a break. And he said
Hmm.
that's what doesn't happen in this culture, especially you look at a single mother. She's by herself, nobody helping her. The baby's crying, she's at her wits' end, and at some point she's just ready to snap, and there's nobody there. So
Right.
I think our isolation and the absence of people to help in those highly stressful situations is probably what adds to those statistics, because we don't have the extended family where
Hmm.
women understand and will, take the baby and help comfort it. Instead, we have people that will condemn you if your baby's crying and you can't get them to stop crying, and they look at you like there's something wrong with you. All of that, and there's no family to go, oh, give me the baby, it's okay. None of that.
Yeah.
So I think our culture is what produces a lot of these distress kind of responses.
Correct. Absolutely. So I actually went and looked at some other cultures, like you said. In Indian study, 61 61 of hospitalized, severely mentally ill postpartum women found that 43% had infanticidal ideation.
Mm.
36% of these women engaged in some type of infanticidal behavior. Their behavior was associated with negative maternal reactions to separation, psychotic beliefs about the infant, and female sex of the infant.
Ooh, Yeah, that's a big cultural thing. You have places where female babies are not valued, and so they tend to be subjected to more killings.
Okay.
Wow.
Now, the highest rates of homicide was listed in the US, but infanticide is something different. Even though it looks the same, when you
Mm,
take your child's life, you take your child's life.
right.
But as is the combinations of things, criminal, like you would hear a man or a woman that would take the spouse's life, then turn around and kill the children,
Yes. Yeah.
and they could be school age infants, it doesn't matter. Okay, that's the difference between the culture of these statistics versus the US statistics,
Mm,
because they are a collaborative of homicide with infanticide all
mm,
together. You see what I'm
mm.
saying? It's not just like with a mother that takes her child because of culture beliefs. There's no homicide right there. It's a difference. And what I also found out about this is the infanticidal laws in different countries. Different countries don't
Mm.
often incarcerate the women that take their children's lives. They actually send them to a mental health
Mm.
type of residence
Now I have a
versus
question.
US. US doesn't do this. This is in other countries.
Yeah, the U.S. it's criminal prosecution,
Right.
but I have a question, and I don't know if any of the statistics have followed this. During the time when China had the one child per family policy, uh, it was observed that a lot of female infants were killed, if not aborted, were perhaps killed in infancy because the family wanted to try again for a boy child. And since the family can only have one child per family, there were so many
Mm,
families that didn't want the female, even to the point where I think even today there's an extreme imbalance in China's population with so many males and an overabundance of males and a lesser availability of females because of that one child per family policy. I think they've abolished that policy just recently, but I
right.
think
They
the
did.
current childbearing generation now is the one who's seeing the results of that policy with an overabundance of young males and not enough females because that's what was happening. They families were getting rid of the female child.
Correct. Correct. And again, US looks at it differently. Postpartum homicide is looked at differently than rather it is not the case. Like if the
Mhm.
when that mother just has given birth to that baby and for some reason she takes that child's life, is looked at different when it comes to law. It's
Mm.
not the same.
So it's
It is
not
not
like
the same.
homicide the way it would be say if the child was 5 years old or something like that.
Correct. Right. So
Mm.
that being said, let me give you some statistics on that, which I found very interesting when it comes to infanticidal law. Infanticidal law often reduces the penalty for mothers who kill their children up to 1 year of
Wow.
age, based
Wow.
on the principle that a woman who commits infanticide does so because the balance of her mind is
Mm.
disturbed by reasons of her not having fully recovered from the effects of giving birth to that child.
Wow.
Okay. The British Infanticide Act of 1922, which was amended in 1938, allows mothers to be charged with manslaughter rather than murder if they are suffering from a mental disturbance. The law
Mm.
was originally based on the outdated concept of lactational insanity.
Lactational insanity. I hadn't heard that one. So when a mother is lactating, she's supposedly not in her right mind. Is that what the
That's
belief?
what they're saying. Yes, that's what they're saying. But the public's desire to excuse sympathetic women because reluctance to alter the law after lactational insanity was discredited. That's what they wanted to do in Britain, but they removed
Like,
that. So women convicted of infanticidal often receive probation
mm,
and referral to mental health treatment rather than incarceration. Now that's in Britain. That's
mhm,
not US law.
right.
Listen, this is way beyond uh, okay, approximately 24 countries are currently having infanticidal law. Australia, Austria, Brazil, Canada, Colombia, Finland, Germany, Greece, Hong Kong, India, Italy, Japan, Korea, New England, Norway, Philippines, Sweden, Switzerland, Turkey, and United Kingdom. The majority of nations that have infanticide law have followed the British precedent and they decrease the penalties for mothers killing children under 1 year old. However, the legal definition of infanticide varies among countries. The murder of children up to age 10 in New Zealand, they don't go to jail. They don't have any incarceration. No, they're referred to mental health institutions
I mean, it's
and
not
put on
funny, but
probation.
I'm
And
thinking
put
of
on
this very
probation.
that is
And
the
put on
that is
probation. They're going back home,
I
Naima.
mean
They just
that's
visiting.
like
No, they inside the resident. They're just told to go there. That's the
yeah,
mandate on the court. You
don't
have
do
to
that
go get counseling, go to a psychiatrist
and go back
because you're
home
on probation.
after you've killed your child.
Up up to 10 years old, from 1 year from birth up to 10, New Zealand will not
Wow.
incarcerate you.
That's got to be a very frightening atmosphere for children. I don't know. I mean, I think about, and this is awful that many of us have had the experience of our parents saying things like, "I brought you in this world, I can take you out." So I mean, in some places it might have been more than a figure of speech, because in New Zealand they can't take you out and not see any serious consequences. So I'm just wondering how hostile some cultures may be to motherhood, to children. There's a lot of things I look at. First of all, for the mother who kills her child out of fear that they will suffer hardship because she's young, she has no money, maybe no family support, she's fearing condemnation, fear of getting kicked out the house, fear of starvation, whatever her fear is, she chooses to take the life of the child. Then I would question the society and its absence of compassion for women and children. Whereas that if you have this baby, you're not going to get any help and you could suffer because you had this baby, because you're going to be condemned. I mean, I think all the way back to pre-biblical times, I guess, or maybe during biblical times, when if a woman was found to have sex outside of marriage, she could be stoned to death. So fear of public condemnation and social ostracism, and that could be a real thing. And how bad could it be where a person would kill their child? So I think of that as a culture. And then those cultures where female children are not really valued, because that could mean poverty. I don't have a son to work in the fields, or whatever the thought is. So you have a lot of infanticide with that. um, poverty situations. I don't know. Do people kill their children if they're under severe starvation? And what is that? Or do you have these kinds of killings that don't have anything to do with economics, just the mental health of the parents, and what produced a state of mental health where you would kill a child, even though the child has done nothing other than annoy you with crying? I mean, I'm just wondering what produces that state of mind in each of those situations where the answer to whatever the problem is let's just kill the child. I don't get it. Do they have some
Well,
category?
that's well, yes, it's a variety of things of factors of when a person would take a human life. That's theirs. This
Mhm.
is your human life. This is your child. Someone that you carried, a soul that you carried for 9 months in your womb as a mother. So what happened to the mother's love? The mother's love is then tainted, is
There.
confused, it is altered. You got the
I did.
alter ego. Our Monday host says this. Zelda, Grand Rising, beautiful queen teachers. What male energy came up with this insanity? Female energies will not do this. Mental side. Okay, I
Men.
need to understand what you're saying. You're saying that you believe that this was created by a male energy within that woman. Is that what you're saying? Or are you
Oh,
saying this is something? What is she saying exactly?
yeah, yeah. Because men. I
I
mean,
need
women did this. Women are making these choices now. Is it? Are we
now
saying
these
that?
are women making the
Yeah, these are women that are
choices.
killing children.
They're not. So give me some clarity with that, Zelda. Are you saying that
Yeah.
it's because we know that women have female and male energy inside of us? So I want to have a good understanding. Are you saying that the male energy in a female is causing the mother to do that? Is that what you're saying? Women influenced by men.
Well,
What?
now
Well, I
I've
mean,
known
in some cases you're correct, but in other cases you're wrong.
because
I have
I've
to tell
seen.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not all. It's now the statistics that I
Mm.
found is, again, we have many areas of where people would do statistics. I went to PubMed Central because this is talking about more of the psychiatric leaning towards some of the crimicide. I say crimicide. Oh my goodness, murder side, as well as infanticide murders in the U.S. compared to universal, global, right? Now, there are women, because that was one of the factors that are influenced by men in their relationships that would, yes, take their child's life. But that's not the only factor, my dear. There's way statistics done by men and women. Yes, statistics done by men and women, but also compared to the Psychiatric Association, when these women are, if they do survive without committing suicide, if they
Mhm.
do survive, they ask and they inquire and they interview them. Okay, what level did you not uh, acknowledge that this was a human force, a soul? What happened where your
Yeah.
mind then left that presence? Now, I told you earlier before we went to break, I actually had a few patients that were in this category,
Mhm.
okay? Which means they were trying to harm their child and attempt suicide that did not, of course, go committed. Now, I myself was talking to this mother, she said there was a moment of emotional numbness. that came
Wow.
upon her. Now,
Emotional.
this was prenatal, but also dealing with after the fact of postpartum depression.
Mm,
Now, the postpartum depression, because this is what I'm talking about. Okay. I'm not talking about the mother that's already had a child. We got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. Okay. Upon having the baby within the first 24 hours or the first, I would say, 3 months of pregnancy, the mind is altered by the chemical imbalance of hormones
mhm.
that causes a person to not think clearly or rationally. Frontal lobe, right here, frontal lobe, okay, is where all your executive directors are when it comes to rational logic, reasoning, like what makes sense, right? Okay, so this part was inoperable at the time due to the hormonal imbalances of serotonin, dopamine, endorphins, neural uptakes, because the hormone imbalance from having the baby. So, which then altered the ego processes in this woman. Okay, here we come with possibly if it's a psychotic, because there's different things on this now. Okay, postpartum depression, and I'm not a psychiatrist because I can't tell you anything about meds. I can only tell you when it comes to the counseling as well as the factors that make this true, right? Postpartum depression occurs again when there's an imbalance of hormones in this person. One. Second, when there is a non acknowledgement of a life force. Now, think
Mm,
about that. If I'm not acknowledging this life force as being my own child,
this is a soul.
naturally, nurture usually is innate. Innate. That means that's something we all have as women to a point of rescue, love, nurture, right? Okay. If that is not present,
Mm,
what's the other alternative? That
numbness.
person's going to numbness, correct. Okay. All right. So walk with me on this. When she said, in that moment, I became emotionally numb and non-aware of my own self, my own being. So the innate of the nurturing process was absent. It don't
Mm,
take but a second to take a child's life, okay? You can do it in 45 seconds or less.
wow.
This is what people don't understand. The brain, the mind is totally absent in that moment. Now, whether it comes back, let's say when the person, if they survive, because if they're suicide, if they commit suicide, the world would never know, right? But
Right.
if they survive after the fact of taking the child's life, what happens is the frontal lobe then comes to a rationale, right? So now you are here, people are questioning you, you're talking about it, and you're like, oh my God, what did
Goodbye.
I do?
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? After that, it's too late. It's already done.
Yeah. I got a question. I know we got to take a break, but maybe when we come back, we can answer the question about the hormonal imbalance, and is that something that has always been happening in women, or is it something that we're not eating, something that's missing in our diet that causes this extreme hormonal imbalance? I mean, we've been given babies forever, but
Exactly.
I'm wondering if this infanticide situation, if that's something that the increase of it is fairly recent, maybe based on some dietary issues, or uh, Jody says parasites will do that too. So I'm wondering if there's
In the
some,
brain.
Yes, if there's something that we're doing that's creating maybe more parasites, more something that wasn't present in us maybe centuries ago that we're doing now that's creating this level of mental illness because of the hormone imbalance. That's my question. We got to take a break, and we got a caller on the line we can take after as well. And of course, if you're listening online, we want you to join this conversation. Give us a call, 515-605-9325. Press 1 when you're ready to ask a question for Dr. Debbie Green. This is a serious situation we're facing today. So give us your thoughts. And we'll be right back after this quick break. So stay with us.
What if you could live to be 120 years old and remain active, healthy, alert, and vibrant? Our bodies are made up of cells that are constantly rejuvenating. So if we take proper care of ourselves, we can literally defy aging. Join us every Tuesday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time to learn about self-care from Tucson Essentials on the Female Solution Blog Talk Radio Show. Learn how to help your body and your cells feel rejuvenated each day through proper nutrition, sleep, frequency medicine, and many unconventional methods of self-care. I'm Jody Susan. Join me and my amazing guests by calling in at 515-605-9325 and press 1 to speak. We'll help you achieve a breakthrough in your health today. Is Monday morning a struggle to get out of bed into the swing of things? Well, don't worry, you are not alone. Join us for thought-provoking, stimulating, and mindful conversations on higher learning with Zelda Speaks for your Monday morning mindfulness session on Blog Talk Radio, The Female Solution, Mondays, 7:30 until 9 a.m. Be sure and send your ideas, thoughts, comments, and suggestions. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, visit zeldaspeaks.com and send us your info. We'd love to have you. Experience mindfulness moments with the mindfulness/stress relief coach, Zelda Speaks. And thanks for sharing the mindfulness moment tip of the day. Stay on purpose, stay empowered, and stay tuned to your next session of mindfulness on higher learning with Zelda Speaks. Make it a mindful day. And thanks for listening. Tune in to Soulful Solutions with Dr. Debbie Green on Thursdays at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time and 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to hear great topics and stories on grief and turn it into victory. Join Dr. Debbie Green to listen to stories of trial and learn how to overcome. You are not alone in your life, and there is hope in the darkest hour. This is your time to learn strategies and solutions to improve your life. It's your time. So join Dr. Debbie Green with Soulful Solutions and call in on Thursday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time and 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at 515-605-9325 with comments and questions. Look to hear from you real soon.
All right.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back to Soulful Solutions. My name is Dr. Debbie Green with my wonderful co-host Naima Latif, our executive producer of the Female Solution. If you're just joining us at the top of the hour, our topic is real sensitive to my heart, as I said before, talking about maternal filicide. Why would a mother take her child's life? Oh, we went over several factors of those things, and we had different ideals of what would happen. There's so many different factors. Jody feels that it's parasites in the brain or in the body, definitely. Hey, it's a possibility. Nothing is left unturned. No stone, trust me, is left unturned. But we know this. This is very accurate because it's happening as we speak. The U.S. Statistical rates of of homicide deaths when it comes to children from birth all the way up to school age years is at its highest level of
Wow.
43% at its
Wow.
highest levels. It is happening at this very moment. And the thing about this is the U.S. does not have anything in place to prevent any of these things from happening. And the thing about this is we have the Department of Children Welfare, where, okay, a woman will, if someone calls in, school system, doctor's office, any place that says, I believe there's a problem with this person that's going through some type of postpartum depression. Okay, that's just one factor. Postpartum depression, or if they are mentally ill, maybe not treated or not taking their medication. And then they also notice neglect. You know, school systems can notice neglect of the child, the way the child is dressed, or
Yes.
the way the child is acting. And then they will go and investigate. They may find something there. Now, how many of those have fell through the cracks? God knows. It's a
Wow.
whole lot of them. Okay, that's a whole nother show for another day.
Yes.
To
Yes.
know that, that the Department of Children Welfare are not protecting the children, are
Mhm.
not protecting the children
Yes.
at all, at all. So definitely, you had a question. Oh, excuse me, it was a caller. I'm sorry. Can we take that caller?
Calling in. Well, okay, let me open the mic. And this is a question for Dr. Debbie Green regarding mothers who kill their children. Questions on that topic. And area code 312632. Your mic is open. Give us your name, where you're
Thank
calling
you.
from, and your question on this topic.
Admiral Nelson Bay.
Yes, sir.
You know, there are wise men who have a kind of spiritual jurisdiction that is needed to be invoked in a very powerful way. The COVID 19 pandemic has subsided, but the overall intentionality underlying it still exists. And the point is that jurisprudence itself has to change in the light of human physiology and other medical aspects of chemistry, which German New Medicine has identified as mathematically quantifiable in a way that is utterly undeniable. In other words, I'm a self-described medical astrologist at the apex of German New Medicine, and I understand human physiology, and I understand the chemistry of hormonal, whether it be testicular or ovarian, the hormonal imbalance that can cause people to be other than themselves, to your point. And so the society itself must needs be such that what is institutionalized is how it is that everyone in an extended family has some responsibility for proper child rearing from birth and even prenatally. And when this is better understood, we will eradicate the tragedy of infanticide.
Well, thank you for that
Yes.
observation. And if there was a way to strengthen families, where especially in that demographic that you mentioned, Dr. Debbie, the young pregnant female. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
remember someone made a comment on a show some time back about how we've become too accepting of these single mothers and young single mothers, and now we've got this epidemic of young single unmarried women struggling with children, the whole welfare mother syndrome. But what is the
Mm-hmm.
alternative to do what we've been doing, condemning, shaming? Um, a lot of young girls would be sent down south to grandma or whatever to have the baby, so nobody knew she was pregnant. Then she'd come back, and I mean, a lot of families did that. But was that helpful? So when we look at what precipitates that response, is it a hormonal imbalance because of the stress uh, conditions? I know he mentioned German new medicine, which deals with a lot of the emotional factors that create a
Mm-hmm.
physical response. So if we remove the condemnation of people for having sex and women getting pregnant, if we remove that, then we need to also add the family support, which is what she's fearing she won't get if she has the baby. But how do you do that if
Mm-hmm.
people are condemning people for being sexually active and they're not ready to be, if they're not emotionally ready to be parents, and maybe they're not even involved in a relationship that's stable? How, in other words, how do we stop the killing of children? How do we get to the root of it, even before it gets to the point where the social factors create such emotional distress that it leads to the the hormonal imbalance, the psychological imbalance, the mental illness that leads them to make those kind of death decisions.
I think education is lacking in this area. Okay. There's so many different factors of why families are not effective, because you got to remember the child is having a baby. Since you're referring to this particular area, the child is having the baby, and I say a child because she could be anywhere between 12 and 17 years old. She's still as an adolescent child that's having the baby, does not have the maturity enough to understand what has happened to her. You see what I'm saying? She made the choice to have sex, but the thing about this is the after effects of this is the issue. Now, if the child was actually nurtured appropriately, which is that if she was educated and not prejudged, prior to all of this, because a person can feel prejudged. Okay, sex is a natural thing, right? And the thing about this is, but if a person is not, especially adolescents, if they're not informed what sex can do and what it's for and what it can cause, not making it as a shameful thing, something that's horrible or unclean, but look at the purity of it and educate. Children need to be educated in school systems. They need to be educated by their parents. And if the parents don't know, then we as a society should educate our children. Now, truth be told, there is a sex class, okay? They call it it was in your geographical book, a biological book,
Mhm.
when you in grade school, looking at sexual organs and what they're for and all these things. But apply that to life, okay?
Right.
We have to apply it to life. So what happens when you decide to have sex not knowing that you can conceive a child with unprotected sex, or even sex that was protected? Maybe the condom might have broken and you still might have had this. Now it even goes deeper to this, okay? What about a child that was pregnant from its father?
that happens too. You have incest. You have situations
right?
where
But then no one, she doesn't want anyone to know.
that's more common than we'd like to believe.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So this is global. This is United States, global, all over the world, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So then, because of the shame, the guilt, the anger, the frustration, definitely, okay, that is the reason that person is taking this child's life.
Get rid of
Now,
the
is it rational? No, but it is.
yeah.
That's it's so many different factors. We can go on and on and on because it's a collaborative of compounded issues on top of an issue,
Issues.
on top of an issue that is so prevalent today, to the point where my question to the world is, you know, what about the children? What about who's protecting the children? Who's protecting the children?
How do you
No
get
one.
but yeah, how do you get children out of a home that is abusive and potentially deadly when there's so many children that get put into foster homes that are just as abusive and deadly, and you have,
No one's
I
protecting
mean,
children.
how,
No one's
right.
protecting children. That's all I have to say. It takes a community to raise one, but it takes a community to protect one.
Right. And that's not
You
what's
see what
happening.
I'm saying? So that's not happening. So what I wanted to do before, because I know our time is limited, I want to also talk about some preventives. Okay, how do
Yeah, we
you
get another
know?
caller. To take the caller. We'll go to that and we take another caller that we have on.
Okay, how do you know if the child is in danger? Just by the mother. Now, of course, the father can be, a perpetrator as well. He can be psychotic. We know that to be true. We've
Mm,
seen fathers take the gun, kill their mother, kill all the children and himself. Okay. So you see how condensed this is? But
mhm.
again, no one's protecting the children. How do
Yeah.
you know? What signs do you look for if this is happening? What signs? Well, let
Mm,
me give you some. You have a family on the block, just okay, for example, right?
mm,
Have a family on the block, and every now and then you see the children come outside to play, normally like any other, family. But just lately here, you haven't been seeing little Bobby or little Sue outside. Matter of fact, you haven't seen hardly anyone come in and out the house for about a month. Okay, you see the cars in the driveway, but ain't nothing moving.
mm,
Okay, so most people usually, oh, let me mind my business,
mhm,
because I mean they don't think about anything of that nature, right? Now this is just the outside external preventive stuff. This ain't got nothing to do with the internal stuff, okay?
mm.
Outside, we need to pay attention to our communities next door. And we often hear this story all the time. Oh, they seem like such normal people. I saw
Yeah.
them every once in a while.
Quiet.
The little children were playing.
Mhm.
We hear that story all the time. And you say,
Time.
am I my brother's keeper? Yes, you are.
Mm.
Yes, you are. No, I'm not asking you to go knock on the door and say what y'all doing in there, but you need to pay attention to what's around you.
Yeah. If things don't look, uh,
If it don't look, something's wrong.
yeah, you
And
can tell.
you can do a well check. Let me tell you something. If you just do a well check, you don't have to give your name to do a well check. Call your local sheriff department. Say, excuse me. I just want to let you know. Can I order a well check on blah 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 blah? You don't. They will ask you your name, but they will hold that in confidence. They're not going to go and say, well, so and so sent me to you, because that's a
Mm,
well check. A
right.
well check is when the police will lock on the door, and that no one comes to that door. All
Then they can
right.
open the door.
Kind of walk. They would do a walk around that house if they can,
Mm.
if it's not an apartment, or they would even ask a next door neighbor, have you seen your neighbors lately?
Mm.
Okay.
We
If
did have a
somebody does, or they
yeah,
will ask questions. Yeah.
yeah. We had a
Well
situation in
checks.
the house where I used to live. an elderly woman, and she didn't have, her children didn't live anywhere near her. I'm sure I told the story before. I won't take too long to tell it. But, of course, to make a long story short, she had been dead in there for 3 weeks. And someone finally,
Yes.
police said, wait a minute, we got this foul odor coming down the block. What is it? And someone thought, I haven't seen her coming out of her house for like, a couple of months now. And when they went to check, yeah, she was in there deceased. And so you do, and when you haven't seen somebody in a long time, maybe they're living alone or whatever, or you haven't seen the children come out the house and it's nice weather and you haven't seen the
Yes.
children in a long time, yeah, you may want to check.
Yes.
Yeah.
I say a month. I say if you haven't seen any activity and you see cars not moving in a month,
Mm-hmm.
you need to order a well check. Order the well check. It's called mandatory reporting.
Ah.
Mandatory reporting. You can do this. You don't have to go knock on nobody's door. Have the police to do it. We do it
Yeah.
all the time at the hospital. When somebody just ends up missing and they haven't called us, we'll send someone out to knock on that door
Mm-hmm.
just to say, if that person comes to the door, oh no, we okay, fine. But then if the police, they are trained to notice something that's out of order. If they notice
Mm.
a particular smell, if they notice, because we know that people will kill children, people, and hide them in their houses.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying mandatory reporting. That's number one. All 50 states in the U.S. have mandatory reporting laws for professionals like me,
Mm-hmm.
right? For people, when we have mandatory reporting laws, it's a duty to protect. That's what it's called. Mandatory. If we hear someone speaking about, hurting their children or any type of way of that nature, that's a mandated reporting law that we have to abide. We
Mm.
have to call the Department of Children's Welfare, or we have to, again, order a well check to come to that home.
Wow. Mm.
So we could take that call if you want.
Okay, let me open the mic. Area code 706-202. Your mic is open. Introduce yourself to our listening and viewing audience and give us your question or comment for Dr. Debbie Green. Go right ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, Naima and Grand Rising, Sister Debbie Green, Dr. Debbie Green.
Yes, sir.
I can relate to your topic because I had a granddaughter that was in college in Southern Illinois, and her boyfriend, she wound up pregnant, and they broke up, and she had my great grandson, and the relationship went south, and she got mad and got in the car, and she tried to kill herself running down the expressway.
Wow.
And so they finally stopped her before she really wrecked the car and hurt the child. But the state took it away from her. And she had to go through counseling. She had to go through all of the things. And it wound up that eventually my great grandson, had to go to the father. And the father's mother is now raising him. And so you have these situations where my granddaughter did not know how to deal with the pressures of breaking up and having to be a single mom because of all the promises that were made in their relationship.
Mm.
So the part that we're looking at, and you said it too, in that the education, because you're looking at add a lesson, you add lessons. And my daughter, she was a single mom with her. And so you're looking at this whole scenario of things that create this mental illness of this, I'm not good enough, I don't need to live, I don't want to live. It's because a lack of self-love. And
Correct.
then to have a child for the purpose of thinking to trap this person. And this happens quite often, in that the young lady will see that, okay, if I have this baby, then he will be with me. But that's not the part, because the lessons were not given to her at a young age when she was a girl coming into being a woman. And these are the parts of what we call kitchen table universities. Those aunties, grandmothers, great grandmothers, sitting down and having those talks with the young lady. Because now I saw her when I came up there to see them, and now she's working and finally got herself back together, and she has to go out on a visitation basis because she's still having to go through counseling and to get her approval from the state to say that he can come back to her and be raised with her. So these are parts looking at it when we talk about it takes the whole village, you know.
Yes.
And part of having the whole village is grandpa had to turn around and step in and say, you know, you're more worthy than what you think and that you have, and you haven't done anything wrong. Because that was the guilt that she carried, thinking that if I do this, I'll have this. That does not always be the result. So the part for her was that she had the family stepped in, and everybody began to invite her to the different functionings and doing the wellness check on her. And so now she's still, you know, got a car and she's living in her own apartment, and she's still having visitations with her son. So it's looking at how do we get this. And the other part, you're talking about a wellness check. The part that has to happen is people, educators should have guidance, and there's counseling should be in the school system.
Correct.
To say that this child in school, truancy is one way in which you get investigated. But looking at that child come in every day and you see the child was outward and really active and friendly, and then all of a sudden they shut down. Those are signs that something's going on with that child.
Correct.
Something has happened to that child where it's changed its personality. So the part of having your awareness to be able to see what those children are reacting and how they react. They're with the child more so than the parent, because you're in school more than you're at home over the summer. And so it's being able to have those people in place, part of the village, those ones that are educating our children, and are they really concerned with our children? Because a lot of children fall through the cracks, and the teachers are right there. Blame the teacher. Part of having people in place to have the awareness to make that wellness check. That woman seeing that girl in these ways and pull her to the side and talk to her. And the same thing goes with young men, because just as you have young ladies abused, you have young boys abused.
That's right.
And so we have awareness in how we as a people, because the psychological effects of how they look and evaluate European children and Hispanic, it's a difference in our community. So we have to have the know-all to say that this psychological effect is different from what happens in a white family. The abuse happens worldwide, but it's being able to be aware of your children, because those are our children. As we said, it takes a whole village. So being that person that's standing in front of the class, or that person that has interaction with that child, should be aware. And also, you need to have friend communication. It's nothing wrong, but that, you know, my friend, she's not the same, and something's wrong with her.
Yes. Yeah, and adults need to pay attention when someone is trying to alert them that they see something that's not right with one of their friends. You know, if your child is telling you something about their friend, then be a parent who investigates. Don't look at it like, oh, that's none of our business. Yeah, it is. We're a village. We have to be Who else is going to look out for the well-being of our children? Yeah, we got to take our last break. Thanks so much, Baba Kwame. We appreciate your input
Yes.
as always, and definitely everybody needs to be uh, aware and paying attention and offer help when you can. If you've got a family member that you can see that they're under stress with their child, their personal relationship situation, offer to babysit sometimes. Give them a break. Just maybe just that one thing that gives them some time away from the child or the children so they can get their mind back together. That you never know. That might be a life-saving
Yes.
decision. We're going to take this last break and we'll be right back. And if you're listening, you want to join this conversation, give us a call, 515-605-9325. Press 1. We're on our switchboard now and haven't spoken yet. Press 1 and we'll be right back after this break. So stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be back after this quick message. So stay with us.
I'm Mama Joy. And I'm Reverend Rosemary. Join us every second Saturday of the month, 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time, here on the Female Solution Global Radio TV show for Neighborship of Joy. We'll have powerful conversations inviting women to walk in the light. So call in 515-605-9325 and press 1 to speak to the host. You can also join us live on the Female Solution Facebook page and YouTube channel. So see you on the second Saturday on the Neighborship of Joy.
Oh man, God sent the monthly sun bill today. This sunlight is really expensive, especially during this season. I'll probably have to work overtime to pay it.
Well, you better pay it on time. We don't want the sun to go out and we're sitting up here all day in the dark.
Wouldn't it be terrible if God charged us for sunlight? Well, thank God, the light and heat from the sun is free. So why are we paying such high bills for the energy we use in our homes? Because we don't know how to use solar energy, the free energy from the sun. You can convert your regular home to a solar energy home and save tremendously on your electric bill. Take a look at your electric bill. Wouldn't you like to reduce or possibly even eliminate that cost altogether? Let one of our solar consultants show you how. Call today, 312-849-3456, and schedule a free consultation. That's 312-849-3456.
Hey, it's time to take charge of your health. I'm Bianca, your holistic life coach, and every Friday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, I'm here on the Female Solution to empower you to make choices that will assist your evolution to abundant health. I'm also blogging every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at Soul Purpose Healing, where I bring you a spiritual chiropractic adjustment to bring you back into alignment with our creative love, compassion, and join me every Friday morning at 8 a.m. and Sunday evening at 8 p.m. for a time of unity, enlightenment, and love vibration. Shalom.
All right, all right, all right. Welcome back to Soulful Solutions with my wonderful co-host, Naima Latif, our executive producer of the Female Solution. And again, this has been a topic for today. Oh my goodness, absolutely. So The goal is to talk about prevention. We talked about the factors. We looked at the culture differences as well concerning this topic. Our goal is to talk about prevention. How can we just save one child? Okay, we may not can save the world or every child in the world, but how can we just save one? Again, mandatory reporting, people. Don't worry about it. You say, well, they ain't none of my business what they're doing. It's okay. I'm not asking you to mind anyone's business. I'm saying pay attention to your neighborhood. We used to have the neighborhood watchers. Neighborhood watch was real back in the day. You know what I'm saying? It was real back in the day.
Yes.
So when you take the time to just kind of look around you, when you go to your mailbox, look around you, notice in the afternoons when you may not see someone that you saw before for a period of time, and all of a sudden you see no movement. Okay, something's wrong. Something's
Yes.
wrong. Don't just say, oh, they may be okay. If the car's all gone, okay, they on vacation. All right. But if the cars are still there, no cars is moved, and no activity, not even a dog barking, something's wrong when it used to be.
Hmm.
Okay, that's number one. Teachers, if you're listening, pay attention to your students. I
Yes.
know it's hard. I understand you get so busy. You may have 15, 10, or whatever in there, but just pay attention to your students. Notice little Bobby that used to be smiling. All of a sudden, he stopped smiling. He stopped,
Mhm.
something's going on in his life. Pull that child to the side and just ask these simple questions. Are you okay? Notice that child's behavior. If it's closed, if it feels isolated, something is wrong. It may say, yeah, I'm fine, but notice what's going on.
Mhm.
Just take the time and notice. You don't know, a child could be covering something up from something that's happened in the home, or is something getting ready to happen in the home,
Yes.
because
And
you
if they're
don't know.
that's right. And you don't know. And if there's a small child, you might be able to get them to draw a picture. I took aside a child. I could tell they were going through something, and I think this was like first grade. And I had him draw a picture, and he started out. Well, he started out drawing a nose because he said, I have a cold and my nose is running. And the next thing I know, he was drawing this room and a closet, and then he ended up telling me this whole story about how the boyfriend's mother, the mother's boyfriend came by and got violent, and she told him to hide in the closet. I mean, just this whole thing that was this whole drama happening in their house. After I told him to draw a picture, and it elevated into this whole thing that was happening at their house, and you just never know. And
Right.
sometimes a child can't say it, but if you get them to just draw a picture and then just let them expand and expound, and you'd be surprised.
You sure
And
would
then
be.
sometimes
Yes. Yes.
step in, see if there's and our schools need more social workers, more people who are trained and have a relationship with the children, so that they can
Hmm.
talk about it, uh, and get the children's confidence. We need many, many, many more counselors and therapists for our schools, because our children. I'm looking at the statistics that you posted about 2020 was kind of like things really came to the surface because you had so many families that had to stay inside, and because they had that concentrated time together, all of the dysfunction that might not have been noticed because people were leaving and going to school and going to work and everything, it suddenly came to a head because now we're all in the house together. Now we're facing our dysfunction, and then the violence erupted, and it has really just been astronomical since 2020, the violence
Yes.
toward children.
Yes. Exactly. So, I think that it's just extremely again important for us just to stay mindful and stay aware in this hour so that we can notice we can notice when something's wrong. Sometimes we get so much into our lives, and I understand. I get it. And we're kind of wrapped tight with projects and taking care of family and all of that. But again, if you just notice just something, all you have to do is be, like I said, just report it because you could save a life. For those women that are going through postpartum depression, take a moment for yourself. That's important. Find a way. I don't care. Hire a babysitter. Whatever you have to do just to get some respite. And respite is just what it is. That means I need some away time. My youngest daughter went through postpartum depression, and the way she described it, she's like, I just feel so overwhelmed. I don't know what to do.
Wow.
And I told her, I said, it is because of the hormonal imbalances that's happening within you right now. I said, but what you need to do, so I had to go down there, well, up there, because she's in upstate. I had to go up there, and I had to literally give her some, much needed love, guidance, and give her a break, because this was her first baby.
Yeah.
And I explained to her, these are the feelings that you're going to have, and this is what you do with those feelings. This is how you are able to do that. And let's talk to your doctor, maybe get a mild depressant just for a little while, that's going to help you balance out. And then if you continue to have these efflux, and in your emotions, then we definitely want to go and get you checked hormonally, because that's what, before a person, I always tell women this, before you just think that you're depressed, check your hormones first. Check your hormones, because if your hormones are not balanced, you will feel a shift in your emotions and in your mood, and
Yes.
also your energy level, your hormones. Once you rule that out and it's not a medical or hormonal issue, then you can then start looking to get some psychiatric help. But always check your hormones and your vitamin D. Vitamin
Mm.
D, if you're lacking vitamin D, it can also give you bouts of depression if you have a deficiency in vitamin
And
D.
a lot of women don't realize uh, that they become deficient in vitamin D as a result of pregnancy, because I mean the
Correct.
is
Yeah.
taking that from you, building bone and everything else with that. And so that means if you're not increasing your vitamin D, then you are going to be deficient, which is a lot of times uh, women end up with a lot of physical deficiencies after pregnancy if they didn't get the proper vitamins and nutrients. And like you were talking about the young woman who hides the pregnancy. Well, if you don't have a doctor
Hmm.
that is monitoring you and helping you to see that you're not eating balanced meals or not getting certain vitamins, then you're going to give birth and have all of this depleted uh, vitamins inside of you, which of course will lead to depression and the
Right.
post depression and all of that, which
Eating
can lead.
correctly. Yes,
Yeah.
eating correctly, eating as clean as you can,
Yeah.
eating correctly, and also meditating, really helping yourself get the balance that you need, the proper sleep. All of those are factors in just feeling good and making your best decisions. Because if you're imbalanced, you're going to make unwise decisions if you're imbalanced automatically. And that's
Yes.
because you're more impulsive than you are
Yes.
anything else.
Right. Right. We've got another caller on the line. I guess we've got a
Okay, you can go
minute to
right
take a
ahead.
caller. All right, we're opening a mic for 312-882. Questions for Dr. Debbie Green regarding mothers who killed their children. How can we help? Give us your name and where you're calling from, and your question or comment for Dr. Debbie Green on this topic.
you. Wayo and Yad Shalom. We don't die. Multiply. That is beautiful as you are a superstar. And thank God for the female solution, and especially you, Dr. Debbie Green. I got you on my smartphone, doing your information, which is a key to success. And I thank God that you and Sister Naima and all the female solution is really a part of the solution, because life is, and this is Brother Plump,
yes, sir.
Robert Plump, Chicago, Illinois. You're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. So I know that you all are part, and I was just discussing it with one of my comrades. You're part of the solution, and encouraging him to always, and that's AMG Peace God, to touch with you all, because it do take, as one of the brothers mentioned, to it takes a whole village to raise one child. See, and no one can raise a kid. The kid is the rebellious beast that comes in children. And see, we all should participate and help save the children, because that is the fruit of the land. And God put the children here with us as a part of the master plan. So we can continue our legacy, so we can continue our history and our culture and our heritage.
Absolutely.
And also, I'd just like to mention today, we want to invite Chicago out to participate with the Harold Washington Foundation.
Well, we appreciate that so much, Minister Plump. Let me ask you this question, Minister Plump. Something was said earlier about this kind of violence not being female energy and it's more male energy. Have you ever encountered a woman or daughters maybe or sisters that perhaps reacted violently when their child cried, or they seemed like they were so overwhelmed? Have you ever seen that as an uncle, a father, or in your family?
Okay, yes. Yes, I have. Matter of fact, I've observed it in my family, and I know that it's a problem, as I mentioned, it's either you're part of the problem or you're part of the solution. And the solution is always God, first, last, and foremost. So, the Harold Washington Foundation is against all violence.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We definitely appreciate that.
As well as anybody else.
Yeah. So, well, thank you so much for that, Minister Plump. We appreciate all the work that you do. And Dr. Debbie's going to give us a few more points on how to recognize if there's somebody in your surroundings that might need you to step in as that uncle or that brother or that father when you see that the mother is in emotional distress and overwhelmed, and maybe reacting a little too harshly to a child that's crying. Maybe she just needs a break. So our brothers need to be aware of that and step in. So what are some other things to look for, Dr. Debbie?
Spontaneously and impulsive behavior, such as, of course, like I think the last caller was talking. I hear echo. Hello, are you there? Okay. Like the last caller was talking about his granddaughter putting the grandson in the car and then driving, very recklessly. Now, prior to all of that, there had to have been some type of signs or symptomatic, disorders or something to let someone know that this young lady was in crisis. Sometimes we miss it because sometimes it's real silent. It doesn't always have a loud voice, but the actions of that human being, that's what you pay attention to. Isolation, stop communicating, bouts of silence when they were talking, but they're no longer speaking. You see what I'm saying? They could be living in your home if they're living close to you. isolating to rooms, not eating properly, getting up in the middle of the night, constantly wondering, not sleeping properly, missing, which means if you hardly ever see them and they're not communicating where they are, but you hardly ever see them, they're not there, they're moving about, and they may like, not be communicating, say, hey, I'm going to whoever, whenever, or however. Not saying they have to always tell you their business, but at least have an idea if this person, because you know them to be a open, communicative type of individual. So if there any change of course of action abruptly, that's when you start noticing. Okay, something's out of order. And the way you come to this person, you don't just come and say, what's going on with you? No, you let them, you come out of love. I just want to let you know I'm concerned, and I want to know, do you need me for anything? Is there any way I can help you? Don't talk about what you think you know. Never assume or prejudge anything of that nature. I just noticed that you've been talking to, you know, Shelly abruptly. So what's wrong with you? No, you don't want to do it that way. You come out of a point of love, right? I just want to let you know I'm here for you. If you need to talk, please know that I'm here for you. I love you. I'm concerned about you and the child, not just focusing on the child, because that's what grandparents do. They just focus on the child, but not on the mother that's actually has the child. So
Stress,
let's
yeah,
let's you know what I'm saying?
yeah. Because a lot of times a mother might feel like sometimes if you say something critical to the mother may get defensive. Like, you
Right,
trying to say I'm not a good mother, that kind of
right,
thing.
right.
But you might know the mother is reacting very harshly or abruptly or very short tempered, and you want to call her attention to it. But like you're saying, if you do it in a way that's accusatory or seeming to be critical, then you get resentment, and defensiveness, which doesn't help, because then that could cause a backlash at the child. So we have to really be uh, sensitive when intervening in the life of a child to a parent that is not at their best mental or emotional state,
Hmm.
so that we don't agitate the situation and cause the parent to react even more harshly at the child.
Correct. Absolutely. So noticing the changes. Notice it. Don't act like, oh, that may not be nothing. No, just notice the changes. When you see a pattern of change, patterns of change are like 2 weeks or better. Okay, 2 weeks or better. That's when you start notice. That's when you may need to be concerned. The person's living with you need to be concerned. Person living next door to you need to be concerned. You can save a life. Sometimes we do have to step out of our little comfort zone so we can save someone else's life. If you can
Yeah,
save one, you've saved a lot of lives. One can save a thousands, generations. But if that child doesn't survive, you never know what it would be.
that's right. That's
So just be
right.
encouraged. I want to also talk about really quick my latest project is called Rise, Reaching Inward for Spiritual Empowerment. That's actually launching on November 11th. Everything is ready for that. What that is an online platform for anyone that's going through crisis, whether it's mental or emotional, or anywhere you find yourself. You say, hey, I just need to get a deeper in contact within myself. I want to be greater. I want to be able to deal with my issues where I will be able to make the best solutions for my life, not just for your family's life, but for your life. I call it going to the highest self. Again, the launch is going to be November 11th. You will see it on social media, on every aspects. If you're local, which means in the state of Georgia, in Atlanta, I'm going to have a launch party event. I'm going to actually send out invitations. And if you want to attend, it will be greatly appreciated because we are in the business of saving lives, okay? That's what it is, saving lives every day,
Yeah.
every
Let me,
day. And we should be able to do that. We should be able to save someone's life.
yeah,
I think that's
absolutely.
something we all need to do because somebody may be trying to save your own. Are you noticing? Are you
Absolutely.
noticing? Let them do it. Don't fight them. Don't act like it's not there. Allow yourself to be helped,
Ooh,
please. Allow
yes.
yourself to be helped, please.
Allow yourself to be helped. If you are a little bit short tempered and someone tries to intervene, pay attention. They may see something that you're overlooking, and maybe you're at the breaking point.
Domestic violence,
Be
all
the
of that, family violence, before it even gets there, allow yourself to be helped. If you don't know what to do, tell somebody. I don't care who you tell.
Mm,
Tell someone. Someone can give you some advice to help you, And it doesn't always have to be family. Tell a stranger. Say, "Hey, I'm going through this. I need something. I don't know how to get out of it." Don't get to the point what they call desperate measures because you can't think when you're desperate. You only react in off of impulse. And there is a solution. There's always a solution.
yes. There's always a solution. Well, we certainly do appreciate all of you who have called in and
Thank
shared
you
your
so much.
pieces. And just keep your eyes open. Families you've seen, maybe you've seen it even in the grocery store or on a public transportation. It's risk. Sometimes it's risky getting involved and saying something, but you never know. A kind word might help calm somebody down, just as they're about to slap the child that's crying because they're at their wits' end. And you never know when people have reached a breaking point and are ready to end it all for themselves and everybody else in the family. We don't want that.
Yes,
So,
that's right.
there are hotline numbers that people can call if they are in distress.
Well,
I think is there a
Georgia
suicide hotline or
National,
a national? Yeah,
I have
national.
I have state national hotlines. Well, I know there's GCal here, which is I'm in Georgia, but that's not. I don't know if there is there one in Chicago, a national hotline in
I believe
Chicago.
believe there is a national. I think it's an 888 number. Let's see if I see national hotline. And people are 988 is the
Okay.
number. It's a crisis hotline. It's like 911 is for emergencies. 988 is for
Mm-hmm.
the suicide hotline, and it's available 24 hours a day
90 seconds.
in languages English and Spanish. So we probably need to get more languages too, since as you mentioned,
Absolutely.
this
Yeah,
is a
there's another one here too. It's this is a mental health US hotline 1-800-273-TALK, which is 8255 1-800-273-TALK.
all
That's what it
right.
is.
1-800.
8255 24 it's 24 hours crisis line, or you can text if that's what you want to do. They will take those as well. Text MHA to 741-741 at the crisis text line. MHA, that's Mental Health Association, to
Mm-hmm.
741-741 at the crisis text hotline.
All
So
right.
reach out. Come on, people. Save yourself. Save yourself or save someone else as well. Thank you so much, Facebook. Love you guys. I appreciate y'all definitely supporting us as well as YouTube. Subscribe. Don't be bashful. It's okay. Much love to you.
See you next time. See you tomorrow on Health and Wellbeing.
You can hear every show in the archives at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. You can also hear today's show on the Female Solution Facebook page. Go to www.facebook.com/the-female-solution.
Join us
Leave your
tomorrow.
comments about today's show.
Health and Wellbeing.
You can always reach me on my website at www.naimalatif.com. That's www.naimalatif.com. Watch our TV shows, listen to our radio shows, order our books, and be sure to get your copy of the book, The Female Solution. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussion. And to our global family listening from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China,